Dr. Seyed Emamian is assistant professor at Tehran Polytechnic University. He's joining me from Tehran. Dr. Emamian, really appreciate your time. With Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei's death and reports of possible successors having been targeted in initial strikes, combined with Israel's air dominance over Tehran, how severely has this leadership disruption affected Iran's ability to perhaps coordinate a unified military and diplomatic response?
Thank you for inviting me here. Actually, you know that in Iran, based on the constitution, there won't be any disruption in the leadership. So if anything happens for a current leader, so there would be a council of the leadership council would be in charge of the administration of the society and the running of the country in a very diverse way. As you know, that the leader, the supreme leader in Iranian, based on the Iranian constitution, is not the only responsible for running the country. The country has three branches of the power, has administration based on the government, and has parliament and judiciary system. They are independently are working together, and the supreme leader has the responsibility to coordinate between these three. So everything is going as normal now, and based on the very specific situation that we are living in, it's very clear that even with the assassination of the supreme leader of Iran, the society is very much, I think, integrated still. There is a sense of patriotism still has been back to the society, like what we experienced during the 12 days war. And also in terms of the military retaliation for the unprovoked war that imposed us by Israelis, the Zionist regime, and America, both together, the retaliation operation is going very well, very much regional, as it was expected since the first minute. So no disruption has been experienced here, and it seems that based on the announcement I saw in the media that at least 2 or 3 meetings of the leadership council has been already taken place. So the society is very much well prepared to defend itself from such an unprovoked and illegitimate aggression that we are experiencing right now.
Okay. Then, since you believe that there is no leadership vacuum, give us a sense of the larger sentiments on the ground, because there are contrasting videos and visuals coming in from within Tehran, where there are visuals of mourning, and outside of Iranians celebrating.
Actually, you know that countries as big as diversified as Iran, with a lot of political pressure on them, there are always a political disagreement amongst the society. It's not something unusual. So with regards to the different rounds of the riots or unrest that we have experienced in the last few years, so Iranian society has different political views. Also, Iranian society has been very much recently infiltrated by something that was very much clearly announced by Israelis and Americans and Mossad agents inside the society. So what we experienced in the January 8th was a terrorist attack. It was a kind of a very ISIS-style terrorist attack that was covered by the very peaceful riot that has already been started by the Mossad agents, as has been, as I said, called by Mike Pompeo and his colleagues in Zionist entity. So this is something that we are not surprised by. So I know that the Iranian society has different political view with regards to the current government, with regards to the political system as a whole, with regards to the late supreme leader. So there is some kind of the political disagreement. But at the end of the day, we as Iranian, as a culturally rich, civilizationally rooted country, we have a kind of the respect for anyone that is brave and patriot. So Supreme Leader was someone very much brave in terms of the keeping Iranian rights and defending Iranian national sovereignty and territorial integrity for several decades. So there is a common respect to him, but at the same time, we have someone that they have been disagreed with him, and they have rights to do that, but in a very civilized way. So I'm very much recognizing the right of someone to be agree or disagree with any political figure. But at the end of the day, as an Iranian, we are all Iranians except very few minority that they have been very much infiltrated, funded, and trained by the Mossad as Mossad agents inside the country and sleeping cells of the Mossad inside the country. We have, and they are terrorist one, they have been very much in the region, and India has been very much familiar with the terrorist kind of the groups, sleeping cell of terrorist groups inside the country and the border areas. We have been facing with such kind of the problems. But generally as a whole, society as a whole is very unified society in terms of the supporting and defending the national sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country. And late Supreme Leader Seyed Khamenei was one very patriot, very brave. At the same time, there was a proportion of the society that they were not in like of his political views, and it's not usual. It's not surprising.
Now, we have seen Iranian missile retaliation hitting Israeli cities. Multiple cities in Middle East, from Bahrain to Kuwait to Doha, have been hit. From your perspective in Tehran, is the regime prioritizing sustained counterstrikes to restore deterrence because it needs also domestic legitimacy?
Actually, it has been mentioned before, and for me as an academic and analyst, I have been writing a lot, and I have been saying in different interviews, even last few weeks, about the next likely round of the aggression against Iran would be retaliated very regionally from the first second. So it is something that we are experiencing right now, we are witnessing right now. So Iran has been, it was inevitable response for to the countries that they have been hosting the bases of particularly U.S. bases there, U.S. military bases that they have been used for several times and in last few days or weeks for any kind of the military preparation and build-up. Some of them, they have been evacuated in last few days. But at the end of the day, this is the Iranian right. And it has been a very clear stance since the beginning, since the 12 days war, that any country that is hosting a US base there or is being very much close to the Israelis, so, and Israelis bases, even hidden bases are there, would be a legitimate target for retaliatory operation of the Iran. So it has been implemented and materialized. So we have, me personally, have been contacted several times by our colleagues from think tankers, academics, policymakers from the Persian Gulf Arab countries. They are neighbors or brothers. They have called me that what's happening and how we could be accepted or how could be to some extent being away from such kind of retaliatory operation. But I have saying to them that based on the very public statement of the Iranian policymakers, they are going to target any bases, any military bases, intelligent bases, or security bases in different countries that they have been involved in any strike on Iran, and it is a legitimate retaliation by the country that has been unprovokedly attacked by an aggression of a genocidal country like Zionist regime that has been convicted internationally by a genocide in the last 2 years.
Okay, that brings me to my final question, Dr. Emamian. This is a multi-front war, which has now involved Lebanon and Gulf states. How does it really strengthen Iran's axis of resistance? Or do you think it also at the same time risks overextension and perhaps greater regional backlash as the regime also in Iran grapples with its leadership challenges?
Actually, of course, there are some risks. It was not a choice. It was an inevitable decision, as I mentioned, because once you are facing with an existential threat, and there would be a matter of national security. It's kind of the security strategy that if Iran doesn't have security in the region, no one would have security in the region. So it's not a choice, as I said. It's not an Iranian choice. It's an inevitable response to an existential threat that has been imposed on Iran. So everyone knows that it is not a favorable decision to be made, particularly with regards to the colleagues and brotherly countries in the region that I have been in touch as an academic and as a think tanker with a lot of institutions, several institutions there. I am always being saying to them that we are not in favor of this kind of the retaliatory operation on your territories. But you have been deciding about that a part of your territory is not your territory, is the territory of our enemy, the enemy that has imposed us and has struck Iran. So it is, as I said, something that is not a choice, is not favorable, and is not liked by any Iranians, but it is a very rational and legitimate response to an existential threat to Iranian security.
All right, Dr. Seyed Emamian, really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us from Tehran.